Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Burns. I'm the VP of Sales North America here at Geniusy, and welcome to our joint webinar with Profit Store, Data-Driven EdTech, Turning Learning Insights into Growth. Today, we're going to explore how end-to-end full-funnel analytics, powered by a deep LMS integration, helps EdTech firms improve learning outcomes, boost engagement, and most importantly, drive revenue from acquisition all the way through retention. I'm excited to introduce our speakers, Nazreen, who is a business analyst here at Geniusy, where she helps organizations turn complex data into actionable EdTech strategy. We also have Taras, who is a team lead at Profit Store, where he designs analytic architectures that deliver measurable business impact. They're going to cover the key metrics that matter, what full funnel visibility reveals, and how analytics enables a more personalized learning experience. We're also going to wrap up with a Q&A session, so drop your questions in the chat as we go along. Let's dive in. I'm going to pass it over to Nazreen and then Taras for adding to the introductions there.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Nazreen, a business analyst with over 10 years of experience across different platforms, learning platforms, EdTech, products, and so on. And across these years, I've worked closely with product team, educators, development team, and we turned real learning problem needs into data-driven solution. And that's what I'm excited to share with you today.
Hi everyone, my name is Taras and I'm BI analyst with over 5 years of experience building automated solutions and designing analytical systems. Currently, I'm team lead at Profit Store, where we build end-to-end analytics and business automation solutions.
Fantastic. I'm really excited for this opportunity to have a discussion on the topic. You both have a lot of experience. I think it's really going to be quite helpful. Let's start off with kind of a big picture. What key trends are you seeing in adaptive learning systems across various educational products?
That's a great place to start. Adaptive learning systems are changing a lot. They are changing from that old simple rule-based logic to something more sophisticated AI-driven solutions. And in the past, adaptive learning mainly means something basic, like let's say, if a user fails in a quiz, show a review page. However, right now we look more signals, more behaviors, which says if the learning is actually happening or not, like engagement, time on task, mistakes, pacing, and so on. And what's also important, adaptive learning systems do not only help students, but also educators, teachers as well. How system can tell that if a student really need which kind of support, if students need this kind of, let's say, new content and so on. For example, system can say that certain students need to review topic A before starting that certain model and so on. And finally, I want to say the content also is changing as well, that we can see that right now the contents are more skill-based rather than being that old chapter-based, which also helps to identify, focus on the learning unit, which keeps students more engaged, more motivated.
I like to add the perspective from the analytics side. The biggest trend I see now is the shift from reporting to the. In the past, we looked at dashboards to see what happened yesterday, but now with modern adaptive systems, predictive analytics. We aren't just adapting the content, we are predicting the future user behavior and the future of our marketing activities. So from a marketing standpoint, the best technology is the invisible one. So the personalizations work truly well when user doesn't feel like they were being analyzed. They just feel that the course or any email activities were written specifically for them. So that seamless experience is what drives the highest engagement rates.
Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense. When you can start predicting sooner that their engagement is going down, you can step in sooner, help get them back in and involved, figure out what the problem is. How are data analytics driving smarter strategic decisions in EdTech today?
Yes, thank you for that question. I think I will answer for that. Data analytics has moved from being a nice to have to the absolute center of strategy. So it's shifting companies away from the gut feelings toward evidence-based decisions. So here I can see three major strategic impacts. So the first one is the prediction of retention. So we can now analyze engagement patterns early on, so we can spot at risk learners, for example, before they actually quit. And also this allows us to step in with support, so we can see their patterns, we can support them on the early stage. The second one is smarter acquisition. So marketing teams are no longer looking just for leads. We are using analytics to identify leads and their channels, so we can understand what channel brought for us successful users, what brought the most paid users, and any other metrics also. And the third one is real-time decision making. So with today's technologies, we can analyze our data in real time and turn off our campaigns really quickly or scale any other also.
I agree
Yeah.
with that. That the thing here is that what I really like about analytics is how analytics connect business and learning. And when teams use data across learner journey, decisions become more grounded. So they can see what really help learners to progress their learning journey rather than to have just what looks good on dashboard. And additionally, the curriculum itself improving as well. Instead of guessing what's broken, you can have real data to show where students are struggling and how to fix it.
Yeah, that whole smarter visibility into the acquisition is really important. There's that old saying, I know half of my marketing budget is working, I just don't know which half. Here you can analyze and quickly see, drive up that return on investment. What are some common mistakes that EdTech companies make when they first start implementing analytics?
And that's a very nice question. That companies do the same common mistakes that I can mention here, some of them. Let's start with vanity metric. So some companies focus on vanity metrics like the number of users, signups, video views, and so on. And they really look good on a dashboard, but they don't really exactly say if the learning is happening or not. Instead, they can check more behaviors, which can tell what exactly helping to student or not. And the second one is siloed data. The thing here is that marketing, learning, product systems, normal, they are living in different systems and they don't talk to each other, which makes it hard to understand the full learner journey. And the third one, which I may call it as the biggest mistake, that let's say you have great dashboard, as I told previously. However, right now you have really good data, really user behavior that can help you a lot. However, you have all this data, this dashboard. If you don't have a clear plan what to do with this data will just be a reporting and it will not give you some insight. So you should have a clear plan before, after you collect all this data, you should know what to do with this data, how to use this data to improve your business and to help students to improve their score.
Okay, thank you.
That
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah, it looks like Taras is having some connectivity issues. Would have loved to have heard his thoughts on this one. Hey, this is a live production here. This isn't pre-recorded. I'm going to jump into the next one. Actually, the next two were more for Taras. So there he is. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, hey, Taras, I think this one's more in your area. And it's something I'm very interested in. What key insights can a full funnel analytics approach reveal throughout the user journey from acquisition to retention?
That's when we take a full funnel approach, we stop looking at data as for separate pieces. We start seeing one connected full story from the first ad impression to our client to the long-term mastery. So there are three stages of motivation and this connection. So the first one, we can see something at acquisition. So we stop tracking just clicks, we start tracking future successful students. So sometimes more expensive channel can drive us users with higher retention, and some cheaper channels can give us students with shorter time to their paid value. The second one we can see is during activation. So we can now identify the aha moment, and we have to force our students to this aha moment when they will start, for example, they will complete their first quiz or save a note or see from our courses and get some value. And the third one is about retention and revenue. So we can see which learning behaviors correlate with conversions to paid subscription, for example. And also we can see yearly signs of churn, like drop in active days, and it will allow us to trigger some automated email activities or any other support things to reduce this churn rate.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And for me, the biggest value of full funnel analytics is acting earlier. So if you see that if there's some drop in the user engagement, then it is a signal that you should do some, as you told, some actions, send some notifications, or do some support. And also, it helps teams focus on moments that really matter for learner success.
Yeah, that the user's expectations of getting some value, that aha moment that Taras mentioned, uh, it's becoming more and more of an instant society. I fast forward through the commercials. I can text anybody in my family like nothing at all. If the web page isn't loading quick, I'm one click away from going somewhere else. So that seeing how quickly people get value and accelerating it definitely would make a huge difference on retention. Taras, since you've done so many of these where you're looking at the data, what funnel stage, acquisition, activation, payment, or retention, usually delivers the most surprising insights, and why?
Surprising stage for me is usually activation. So every business focuses on acquisition or revenue, but activation is this messy middle where we can find the most value. So the surprise usually comes when we realize that our perfect path we built for our clients on planning of our business isn't actually what users want. So for example, we might think that forcing users to complete a profile is crucial because we're able to analyze a lot of data about them. We can see that they came from such channels, there is the mail, or they're from some cities and go on. But the data might show that users who skip this profile stage and go straight to a practice are 3 times more likely to subscribe or to pay to us. So the insight is here almost always the same, but really different in implementation. It shortens the time to value. So if user doesn't experience a win in the first session, the acquisition budget can be just wasted.
Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense there. When we step into the LMS data architecture and integration, what are the biggest challenges that EdTech companies face when integrating their LMS with the CRM or other business insight tools?
Let me start first, if you don't mind, Taras. To be honest, from my experience, there are two common challenges that I can mention here. The first one is the systems do not have the same user identity. They speak different languages, so they have different systems. So it is very hard to connect these two together. And data mapping is also another one that CRM, let's say, focus on more opportunities, lead generation. However, learning focus on more user result, quizzes, scores, and so on. And it's very hard to aligning these two worlds together, which requires a good engineering, which is costly and time consuming, unfortunately.
About data mapping, say that business consequence of such broken integration is our possibility to build end-to-end analytics. If the LMS and speak the same language, our marketing can say that we brought 1,000 leads, and product will say that we have 50 active users, but we have no idea whether they are the same people or not. So without such integration, we cannot answer most important questions about marketing: what campaign brought to us the smartest or the most diligent students. And that's why we have to solve a user ID problem. We have to build some background systems, some additional databases that will help us to map all this data together to have them all speaking the same language.
Yeah, some kind of Rosetta Stone to tie the user ID together across all the different platforms. It does sound complex. You both touched on this, but just to rewind a little bit, where do most LMS platforms fall short in terms of data capture?
Yeah, let me answer this question. It's a really good one. Just to not repeat, I will add some more additional points. So mostly standard LMS platforms will system of records or a system of intelligence. So they do fine job capturing the basics, but no, it's about the student. Did the student finish the course or did they pass some score? But they miss rich behavioral data that explains their user journey at our LMS system. So as an analyst, I would like to pause the video before a tricky concept, or did they answer on the question in the first 2 seconds, or they have spent more time singing or Googling or just looking to their notes. And for a marketing perspective, this behavioral data is equally critical because it will help us to answer main questions about our clients and their needs. So integrating LMS behavioral data with CRM and marketing analytics allows us to optimize both learning outcomes and acquisition strategy, because we'll see the full journey and needs of our clients also.
Very good points that you mentioned. These micro behaviors are very important because they can show the confidence and confusion. And another big map I can mention here is skill-based content. It is very important to understand where the learners are struggling. For example, let's say a student take a quiz and he answered 7 out of 10 questions correctly. Everything is great. You can say 70% is done. However, you can't tell which underlying skills these 3 wrong answers represent. And that's why it is really important to have this skill-based content in order to have more personalization and to use AI functionalities to support users.
Yeah, it sounds like insight to those micro behaviors would really provide a lot of value. And Taras, I like your comment about going from a system of record to a system of intelligence. It really changes how you're looking at the data and what you're looking to achieve with it. I think this one, Nazreen, with all you've done with capturing data, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How can a custom LMS be designed to capture rich data and integrate seamlessly with analytic tools so insights can scale across the organization?
From my perspective, the key is to design your LMS system as data-first approach, not just a content player. So this means tagging meaningful activities, tagging content by skills and difficulty level is important. And here, for example, you can ask how we can track these meaningful activities. Actually, we have, you can find that there are some modern items like X API, this standard, help you to capture that micro behaviors. It has very simple, basic actually structure like actor, verb, and object. For example, let's say Jane reviewed slide 5, or let's say Taras failed in assessment 5, and so on. So you have this kind of micro behaviors that quite a lot of modern systems exist right now, which you can integrate with that one, and you can get more insight from your analysis from these micro behaviors.
Yeah, that whole concept of data first, it must be a lot easier to start planning for, where do we want to capture data, what's useful, what's the plan versus, building the LMS system and going back in and backfilling where to get those hooks and where to store out that data. I'm also curious, Azreen, which learner outcomes or engagement metrics should product teams focus on to predict student success or drop off?
I focus on mainly three elements, that they are momentum, mastery, and friction, which these three elements help to predict student success rather than to have summary engagement. So what they are, so let's start off with momentum metrics like active learning days, which can tell you how constantly learners engage with the system. And the second one is about mastery. By using this mastery, you can identify that how much time, how much effort it took for the learners to master that specific skill. And finally, the friction one, such as repeated failure attempts, which can tell you how to identify where learners are confused or discouraged. So all these metrics can help you to predict and see if students easily learning and how you can help them rather than just to have some raw engagement numbers.
Yeah, that predictive analytics has to make a huge difference in being able to get ahead of there being a problem where you've rolled out a certain lesson that just is not clicking with students. The sooner you know that it's not being explained properly, the sooner you can get that better content out there. Taras, since you've dealt with a lot of this full funnel data pieces, from a marketing perspective, which engagement metrics are most important to track? And are there any overlooked metrics that can be surprisingly powerful when measured consistently?
From a marketing perspective, beyond the standard CEC and churn and any others, LAC or any other just metrics, there are three overlooked metrics that are incredibly powerful in EdTech. So the first one is time to first value. It means how many minutes or hours does it take from the moment a student signs up into our platform until they actually learn something new. So if this gap is too long, refund rates and drop-off skyrocket. So that's because marketing promise and the product and second one is channel success rate. So instead of just measuring conversion to purchase, we measure conversion to course completed by channel. So as you told before, I know that my marketing works, but I know which half exactly. That's what I'm talking now about. We have to measure whether, for example, LinkedIn leads finish the course 80% of the time, but Facebook leads only 20. So we have to change our entire bidding strategy over such information. And another overlooked metrics is cost per successful learner. So when teams track this consistently, marketing decisions become much more precise and profitable, because now we start looking into our business more in the point of a healthy business. So where both sides, customers and business, have profit, because customers are successful learners. They have learned something important for them. And that's why they, for example, bought our subscription or bought any additional products, and both sides are happy. That will help to grow our business.
Yeah. Nazreen, you've touched on this, but I'd love to hear more. How can EdTech platforms use learner behavior data and segmentation to build personalized learning paths, improve retention, and flag when a learner needs support or acceleration?
The key here actually is building learner profiles based on their real behavior, not just some assumption. Like, for example, instead of segmenting students by their demographics, you can segment them by their engagement, their pace, their mastery level. So you can give a more tailored learning path to each group. And the second one is when we come to retention, we can say this modern systems, the effective systems, generally they compare student success against their own historical past. What I mean here, for example, let's say student, normally there's a student and that student normally spent 4 days in a week uh, in the system. However, right now we see this number drop to one. So he spent 1 day in a week. It means it's a clear sign actually to us that yes, there's something not correct, something is wrong, and we need to do some action here, that we can send some notifications or we can do some real-time support in order to get the student learners back to the system. And at the same time, we can have another approach, like not all students are the same, they don't have the same speed. We can have some fast learners, and in the fast learners we should allow them to skip some certain topics so they can be more motivated, and we can see we can prevent disengagement between that fast learners. So all this help to have a better system.
I would add here, as I heard a part of the answer, but I would like to add that dynamic of is like a gold for marketing automation, because if the LMS can take user as fast learner or someone who's struggling, we can trigger different workflows of our marketing site in the CRM system. For example, for fast learners, we can get an upsell email or any other upsell activities, but we can't do that for struggling learners. We have to send them some supportive messages or some success stories to boost their motivation. Definitely not the sales pitches. And that's how we can use our behavioral data to reduce churn outside the platform also.
Yeah, that deep personalization sure makes a lot of sense. I know when you're having to watch videos about something you already know, it's hard to sit and do that. And at the same time, if you don't get the foundational information you need to understand later lessons, the frustration sets in, the retention drops. Right now, all the news is on AI. What role will AI play in next generation LMS platforms? And what should EdTech teams do today to prepare?
Taras, would you like to start?
Yeah. So, can you repeat just the question?
Yes. What role will AI play in next generation LMS platforms? And what should EdTech teams do to prepare today?
Okay, so the main thing is that AI is transforming LMS platforms just from static libraries with some courses or some texts into dynamic coaches. But here I would like to give a practical piece of advice for everyone listening. So AI is not a magic, it's just a mess, and it needs full, which is in our case data. So before implementing any AI tutors or auto-generated content or personalized learning paths, we need data readiness. So we have to clean our data, we have to build unified taxonomy with skill tags, we have to set up a proper data warehouse, and without any structured data, AI models have nothing to learn from, so they will be useless. So to give a concrete example of what it's possible to build, we had one client and we built an AI analytics bot. So it continuously monitors our end-to-end analytics data in the background, calculates any key metrics, and send actionable notification whenever something else important happens, I would like to say. So for example, if a campaign shows very low or even negative ROMI, the bot will notify us about that, and also it will show us some advices what we have to do. For example, to pause this campaign or to change the creatives or CTAs or targeting should be just adjusted. So such kind of proactive AI is not only saves time, but also ensures that marketing and product decisions are always informed by real-time and data-driven insights.
Absolutely, I agree that from the learning side, I can add that exciting part is how AI can make the experience smarter for each learner. And it can adjust practice and explanation in real time based on what someone's struggling in which part, instead of just showing just the content or just as course planned. And also it can also act as a coach that helps students, guide them step by step to have that desired to come to that desired level. And finally, I want to add here that another big help is it can also help to teachers, because we can have teaching materials that can be adjusted by using AI automatically, and no need to have some manual work here. So our educators, teachers, instead of having spending time on this material, they can more focus on improving learning outcomes.
Yeah, when you've got that rich integration pulling out those micro behaviors, they don't call it artificial genius. They call it artificial intelligence. It has to be taught. It has to be trained. You need to check things. Lot of power here. We're going to go ahead and jump into some of the questions that have come in on the chat. The first one is, can you give a real example of how data is used to identify where learners get stuck?
I can give example here from my past experience that I remember in one of my project we saw that we have some drop after certain grammar lesson, and we identify it after seeing this result. We change the content, we change the video content, and we add some interactive elements. And then after checking it, we saw, if I'm not mistaken, approximately 28 or 30% increase in the student engagement. And we saw that this drop of decreased, this drop of number decreased. And when you really check your data, you can easily find out the problem, and you can fix it as soon as possible.
I don't know, Taras, if you had anything you wanted to add there. If not, we'll jump to the next one. If an EdTech company is just starting with analytics, what's the first thing that they should implement to get value fast?
From my perspective, the first step is defining and tracking the learner's first meaningful value event. We've been talking about it already, but before building some complex dashboards or any AI models, we need to answer one simple question: what action tells us that learner actually experience value? We have to look into such way. It could be completing the first quiz, or solving any problem correctly, or spending focused time on a key lesson. And once we know that we know the event that shows us value, everything else becomes easier. So we can work on our onboarding optimization, on our retention prediction, or any marketing efficiency, because we know our key event from the whole our business. So without this foundation, analytics turns into noise instead of just insights. But still remember to store all the data as soon as possible, but only after you will realize why you store it and what question it should answer. Because in other way, it will be just noise for your dashboards and your database.
And if you are just starting, you shouldn't be worried about that. You should track everything. You should get a very good result, perfect result. No, we don't live in that world. This doesn't work. And you should start step by step. You should just start from some basic things, which also can help you. It can help your product to grow.
Yeah, well, I do want to add a comment that, Taras mentioned the retention prediction. If you've got a publicly traded firm, your revenue numbers, you need to be predicting them right. And when you're able to get that visibility to how the retention is going to be, you're going to be able to report much more accurate numbers to the board or out to the public. So it brings a lot of value there. This one here we have is how does using data to personalize learning paths work in practice?
Good question. And actually, what I can say here, personalizing learning paths means adjusting content based on how learner is progressing. So, for example, you can have fast learner and slow learner students, and you should differentiate them. And you have a fast learner student, you should give content for that specific learners, and you can, for example, can give some extra practice if they are struggling somewhere. But if you have slow learner students, then you should understand this one, and you should act here like you can break things down into simple parts, and in this way your students can engage with the system more, and they can be more motivated to use the system and learn what they really need.
Yeah, I would like to add here that currently at that moment AI is pretty powerful, but it can help you only to users.
We're unfortunately having some connectivity issues, and we're losing the audio from Taras a little bit there. One of the areas that I'm excited about is the AI being able to personalize
content.
The examples that it's using, that it knows, for example, you have a background in economics, so it uses a different analogy. Last one we have that came in is, what's a common misconception about AI and EdTech that you see a lot?
Let me answer this question. So the biggest misconception is that AI can fix all your problems. It can also fix your poor data, but and come straight to AI tutors or recommendations. But AI doesn't create any insights of nothing. It amplifies whatever your data already have. So if you have no data and you've been making bad decisions, and AI will make the same but faster.
True.
So if your data is fragmented, poorly tagged, or inconsistent, AI will just make bad decisions in shorter time. And that's why I already told you that AI is not a magic. It won't fix your problems. It's just a mess that will work with your data. So without correct data, none of AI system will be able to help you. So just work on your data and its cleanness and collect as much as you can, but only knowing why you do it.
And don't forget that if you want a good data, your content should be well structured as well. Don't forget to have this skill-based content if you want to get a better result from AI. Because as Taras told, AI is not something wow perfect. You should have clean data. You should provide this data if you want a better outcome.
Great, thank you. Yeah, well, that seems to be the last of the questions you've come in on the chat. I want to thank everybody for joining. If you want your EdTech decisions to be driven by real product and learning data, not guesswork, Geniusy can help you build or evolve your LMS for rich data capture. And Profit Store can help you design the analytics architecture for full funnel visibility. So let's connect and help your analytics roadmap get built together.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this session, and because I enjoyed a lot, and I hope the ideas that we shared here will help you to build a better product, and it will help you in your whole company's growth. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for this webinar and for the great discussion. I hope our experience around data, AI, and learner success was useful, and it will help you to build stronger and more sustainable EdTech products.